ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our daily plus review. We're glad to be joined today by Dr. Mervat Madkour, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development. Good morning, Dr. Mervat.
Good morning, dear Nidhi. You're most welcome, dear.
And we start off as usual from Ahram, and we read its main banner. The nuclear energy is a vital and strategic option for Egypt. El-Sisi his directives to firmly deal with the attempts to leak the electric current. In his meeting with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Electricity, Shaker tackles the results of the maintenance process of the electricity producing stations according to the fixed schedule. Still with the same issue, and from Al-Masri Al-Yawm, we read its main banner. The report of the Daba nuclear plant on the desk of the President. An Italian bureau revises the contracts, and Cairo sets the condition that the European criteria should be implemented. President El-Sisi stresses that nuclear energy is a vital option that has strategic significance for Egypt in the coming stage. El-Sisi says that nuclear energy will help the country maintain its other sources of energy, such as oil and natural gas. The president's statements came during his meeting with Prime Minister Sharif Ismail, electricity and renewable energy, Mohammed Shaker. Still with the same issue, and from Al-Yawm Al-Saba we read, El-Sisi receives a report on Al-Daba nuclear plant project. The president says there should be a joint international vision to prevent the usage of the internet in inciting violence and terrorism. And presidential spokesman says that the Minister of Electricity had briefed President El-Sisi on the outcome of his recent visit to Moscow, where he reviewed with Russian officials a number of issues regarding Al-Daba nuclear station. President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi on Saturday received Secretary General of the International Union of Communications, Holland Zhao. The meeting was attended by Minister of Communications and Technology Yasser Al-Adi. Presidential spokesman Ala Youssef said during the meeting, President Sisi stressed that Egypt is keen on boosting its cooperation with the International Union for Communications and its work in the union's activities. For his part, Holland praised Egypt's contributions in the activities of the International Union for Communications. Dr. Mervat, I would first like to start with the importance of the nuclear energy station Al-Daba. How do you follow up this issue?
You know, for generating electricity, we have many ways. Right. One of them is, of course, through oil and gas and building normal stations or conventional ones, which have been, working in Egypt, but consume a lot of oil and a lot of gas, and that's why we have had in the past years so many power cuts, especially during the summer period.
Right.
Okay. There is also another problem which has risen recently, which is the low flood of water or the low level of water in the Nile Basin because of what has happened geophysically. I mean, weather-wise, there is not enough as it has been before.
Right.
In addition of the building, of course, of the Renaissance Dam, which will even make it worse as a condition for the turbine to do the water flow, which has been generating electricity. And one of the major reasons for us to build the Aswan Dam back in the 60s was in the mid-50s and early 60s to generate electricity. So certainly we have also solar energy from which we can generate electricity, and as well as wind. Okay, so having this Daba, which is the more up-to-date way of generating power, is through nuclear, the peaceful usage of nuclear energy.
Right. And as we're starting a very hot summer, do you expect a more stable?
Well, I believe that that's the first exam for the Ministry of Electricity, and so far so good. Right. We haven't had a power cut yesterday, and hopefully not today. Okay, so in fact we are more, we're seeing of fruits coming out of the efforts exerted by the president.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
Especially that we have seen that he has opened 32 new projects concerning construction, concerning building crossings that have over the tracks of trains in the past that used to claim so many lives.
Right.
So
a lot of developments in the infrastructure is very, very obvious.
It is very obvious. We hear people claiming that our growth in income-wise,
this will take some time.
No, not just this. This will reflect itself in what? In a deficit, of course, because we are spending a lot of money. But this is a value added to the developmental process of Egypt.
Right.
And it will pay more and more with time.
Right.
And we shouldn't expect, miracles in our economy. Time of miracles has already passed. With regard to the internet, certainly Egypt has a wide range of people using internet and having control over the internet, because we've heard that many terrorists, especially Egyptians, they have been recruited from the social media. Right. From the Facebook. And definitely, some countries even have done away with all social media sites, like in China and in North Korea. So we are not asking for this because we know this is something, I consider it a personal freedom.
Right.
Nevertheless, to protect the youngers, definitely there should be, some restriction or follow-up, of what is written on these social medias. In addition, of course, to Al-Azhar to play its demanded role by the president to fight terrorism, not just like with the thought, okay? Because the
moderate religious message.
Exactly, it should be delivered, and especially that we've heard from the confessions made by those who murdered Hisham Barakat, that they are at Al-Azhar University, which is a disaster.
Unfortunately. Right, and back to Al-Ahram, and from its front page we read, a fire breaks out in a factory in and the control of a school in Sharqiyya. 30 million pounds the losses in the fire of the furniture compound in Damietta. Extinguishing a fire in a plastic factory in Al-Abur, and a fire in the control of a school in Sharqiyya burns the papers of the answers of the students. Still with the same issue which made the main banner in Al-Yawm Al-Saba, and we read what is happening in the country. 10 fires in 24 hours. Fire destroys a chemical in Nozha and firemen extinguish it. The supervising apparatus check on the fire extinguishing methods and the industrial safety in the different institutions. Doctor, how do you see the so many fires taking place during
that week to Egypt?
It is
strange to us in our recent history, but it is not strange for the brotherhoods. They have burned Egypt on the 26th of January 1952.
Right.
Okay, so for them to do this, I believe they did it in one way or another. You remember Omar Afifi? He said there is a present for the Egyptians on the 9th of May.
So that was the present.
Of course. And mainly, we should really beware of their plans. They are not giving up. And the more they give us, the will to fight them even more. Okay?
Right.
Because this is the Egyptians. Fight them. You are a loser.
Okay. Right. And back to Al-Ahram, and we read Shukri and Kerry tackle by ties and the regional files. The new Italian ambassador to Cairo says Egypt represents a great priority to Rome. Upon an invitation from U.S. Secretary of State Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry meets with John Kerry, and Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid says that the meeting tackled enhanced bilateral ties in addition to a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern, especially the developments in Syria and Libya. How do you follow up the meeting between Shoukry and Kerry?
Yeah, Shoukry was there to attend because we are now heading the UN this
rotation,
month.
Right.
It's a rotation kind of issue. And Shoukry attended, and Kerry asked him and said, well, come to Washington. And that's how they met together. Definitely this gives you an insight that Egypt has resumed its role as a leader, not just of the Arabs, not just of the Middle East, not just of Africa, but it is the most important country because of some people who think otherwise or think to diminish our role. Our role is not really just acquired by us. It is a natural role that Egypt has played all through history.
This is true.
And definitely our concern, whether it be in Libya or Syria, is undeniable. We cannot really allow the people of both countries to live in misery and to live, as immigrants that are thrown back and forth in all countries and in an inhuman way. And some countries even refuse to have, though they are the creators of the misery in which both countries and even Yemen is living, or Iraq. All these nations of this region, great nations in the past. Damascus was once the capital of the Umayyads, and Baghdad was also the capital city of the Abbasides. You're talking about great nations that have now come in to destruction, to nothing really, and living a very, very, very miserable life. And we hope, of course, our main concern is also Libya, because we are seeing big powers playing a role somehow in Libya in particular, because the Brits are now occupying nearby Benghazi, and the Americans are somehow in the west and south. It was left to the
Regarding Libya, the U.S. have recently announced the partial lifting of arms embargo. How do you see the significance of this, and do you think it's going to be implemented?
The problem is there is a new army, a third army. Remember, Haftar is a guy who came from a military background. He is like President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. He doesn't want to be told what to do. He's not liked or loved by anybody. But those who really care for Libya, who really see a future, a possible future for this country, do Haftar. But not the new government, not the new parliament. And
how do you see the new government by Prime Minister al-Sarraj?
Well, if this is what the Libyans have chosen, it's okay. But I don't believe that the Libyans wanted to have someone, having as his protectors some of Ansar al-Sharia or Ansar al-Islam. No. Because they, like us, we refuse to have the political Islam prevailing nations. We want, normal individuals or even military to rule the country. People in Libya really, miss Gaddafi. Like people in Iraq, imagine a despotic leader they miss today. The same goes for Iraq, they miss Saddam Hussein.
It's true.
Imagine, I miss a despotic ruler. Why?
They were much better off. There was a life in this country.
They had a life.
They had a life.
And they had a national country, national home.
Right.
Now they are scattered all over everywhere. Yes.
And from Al Ahram front page, we read some regional news. Egypt's document for denouncing extremism and discrimination issued from Aswan. 150 ministers and scholars from 35 countries issued today the Egypt's document to denounce extremism and discrimination. Minister of Endowment Mohammed Mukhtar Goma inaugurated international conference in Aswan entitled Present and Future Role of Religious Institutions to Face Challenges. In his speech before the inaugural session, Goma stresses the importance of combating media that incites violence and terrorism. The conference discusses a new strategy to enhance the religious institutions' role in facing extremism and coordinate the cooperation among the Arab Islamic organizations to spread the modest concept of Islam. How do you see the significance of these such conferences in spreading the modest and the moderate concept of Islam?
You know, Naveen, I want seriousness. I want sincerity. I want things to be really, felt as people. We don't want to hear that they are having a gathering here or a gathering there. I want to hear that they have done something to the curriculum of Al-Azhar. I want to hear that they are really having, not appropriate, but really teachers who are praising moderate Islam, who are really for being moderate and tolerant of the other, whoever that other may be. But this is not what is happening, unfortunately. So instead of spending too much money on such gathering, spend it really on developing your books. Spend it on getting teachers that are very well educated and know what is moderate Islam.
Right, and from Al Ahram front page, we read some regional news. Palestinian rallies in the anniversary of the Nakba. Fatah calls on Britain to correct its historic sin on the 68th anniversary of the Nakba. Fatah says the right of our people to return to their homeland equals the right to life. And the UNICEF says 25 Palestinian child killed by the Israeli occupation in 3 months. How do you see any developments in the peace process, the Palestinian peace process?
Well, thanks to Hamas, the whole issue of the Palestinian fight against Israeli occupation and them not granting Palestinians to a right of an appropriate land that can absorb all the Palestinians. Israel has been committing genocides all the time, and she's getting away with it. Okay, I don't see Ban Ki-moon wait. I don't see Kerry even commenting, and the whole international community is as if it is conspiring against what is Arab, whatever that Arab may be. But it is thanks to Hamas that this whole issue of a homeland for the Palestinians has been either forgotten or, an eye was blinked upon the issue. Given as well the disastrous circumstances in which so many Arab countries are in right now, definitely this has masked this very important issue, the Arab-Israeli conflict, which hasn't been solved and will never be solved with an agreement like Camp David or anything else.
Right, Dr. Mervat Madkour, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development. Many thanks for joining us. Thank you for your insight and have a good day.
Thanks.
Dear viewers, short break. We'll be back to resume the rest of the segments of The Breakfast Show.